Hello and welcome to Columbus Local Podcast. I am Len D'Amico, and this is episode number 37. And tonight we have Tina Holly. Tina is drummer for Brian Clash here in Columbus, Ohio. Clever band, great show. And Tina, say hello.
Hi there. I gotta correct you right at the beginning.
Oh.
Ask Brian, that's my job.
Good.
We are about half originals, half covers. Just throwing it out there
heard
because
some of that original material.
Brian is an excellent songwriter, and so got to give him credit right up front on that one.
Awesome. That's awesome. And you're playing behind the kit,
I sure am.
driving that bus.
I sure am, and it's the most fun place to be. There's a handful of us female drummers out there, and most of them are heroes of mine, but I hopefully bring my own kind of little style to the band, and it is one of the loves of my life is being part of that band.
How did the Brian Clash band come about?
Well, that's an interesting story. First of all, I got to say we're sort of a garagey rock band with a little punk flair thrown in, and
Oh yeah.
and we first of all try to play good music, but we're try to be a show too, entertainment. And our producer is Willie Phoenix. Very blessed to have him part of what we do. And Brian and Willie have been friends for a long time, few decades. And Brian's had other bands before. He's had solo acts. He's done a lot of things. And he wanted a band of, a rock band that is one band that can be booked and do the original music. So Willie agreed to put this band together. So each of us are kind of handpicked. So the bass player, CC Hannah Clyde, he's my bass buddy. He is the son-in-law of the late Jim Cummings, Cosmo, who was Willie's, one of his best friends and a longtime bass player. So CC is bass player there. He's a guitarist, a drummer as well, but he's found his spot right now as bass. Jack Ballard was a young man that worked at Sam Ash. Willie found him there playing the guitars, and he's our lead guitarist. And my story, I'm going to give you the long version. You want the long version or short version?
Absolutely, Tina. We want the long version.
Here's the long version, how I became drummer there. About a year and a half ago, I was living in Mount Gilead, and there was a tornado that hit about 5 miles from our house. And it knocked out all the electricity, which means the water and everything's gone. So I was staying in Columbus for a week. Otherwise, I was never in Columbus on a Tuesday night, but one of my favorite bands ever, Wednesday Wine, was playing on Tuesday night at El Dorado's, opening for Willie Phoenix, who I'd heard about and never seen. After all these years, I'd never seen him play. So I went to see Wednesday Wine, and then Willie and his band, Soul Underground, Stephen Day Carter, one of my hero drummers right there, and Chuck Birchfield, the bass player, got up to play. And I'm like, holy shit, who are these guys? And they're here in Central Ohio. So they played their set. I went to leave. I have a red Mustang. It was parked in back of El Dorado's. So I come around the back, and Willie steps out of the door, and I almost hit him with my red Mustang.
Oh, my gosh.
So I stopped, put down the passenger side window, and I apologized there's no way do I want to be responsible for taking out the legend of Willie
Columbus.
Phoenix. I know.
Really, that's an interesting meeting.
It was like the universe saying, hold on, you can't go any farther. You got to meet him. So he comes around. He says, wait a minute, I got to talk to you. He comes around to the driver's side window and he said, okay. He says, I know you. I've seen you play. You played with the Clark Twins band. And he, which blew me away. I had no idea he'd ever seen us at all. And he said, I'm putting together a band for Brian Clash, and I want you to be the drummer. I was like, what are you talking about? He refused to let me say no. It took about 2 months of him talking me into it. And I finally said, okay, we'll give it a try.
Give it a shot.
I'd never played that type of music before. It was a big learning curve, but Brian and Willie both, worked with me, including my drum teacher worked with me as well. And I love it. A year later, we're playing out lots of places. We have a website, brianclashband.com. All of our gigs are on there. Check them out. Come see us. And we're recording, and our first CD came out this summer. And there's more to come.
Well, let's hope there's a lot more to come too. Yeah,
Plenty to
good
come.
for you. That's freaking awesome. It is, and obviously, drums are your first love, right? Like music.
Well,
Because you're doing it.
I have always valued the drums. I remember watching Ringo on TV when I was little kid. And he was my favorite Beatle right off the bat because number one, he was the cutest, and number two, he was the drummer. He was the drummer, and that was just a little kid. But I've always loved that. But where my music career started was tap dancer.
Oh, why?
My mother, born during the Depression, would have loved to have been a dancer and never had the opportunity. So we lived in northern New York State. A dance teacher came to our little bitty school. I was in kindergarten, and I said, Mom, I want to take dance lessons. My older sister did as well, and we were good. We won contests. We took lessons and danced all the way up into junior high. Our teacher asked us to become assistants for him. So about 7th grade, I started teaching dance. And then our teacher passed away suddenly when I was about 10th grade. And so my sister and I took over the dance school. And so I went through 12th grade as a tap dancer. So that's where the music started. But 5th grade was when, you could take drum lessons or whatever, school band instrument you wanted to play. So I only girl drummer, 5th and 6th grade, very little, no support for it at home. That was a boy's instrument and I shouldn't be playing, And so a couple years, went to junior high school, little bitty school, junior, senior high school, one band director, again, the only girl. The best drummer in the school was the band director's son. And the band director scared the crap out of me, and I quit. 2 years and I quit. And then the rest of my life took over from there, and it wasn't until 7 years ago that I decided I was not going to be 95 one day and say, I wish I had. So I found a drum teacher, Kurt Hutberg, who teaches for Hilliard Music School, owned by Jim Williams, concert pianist. And he had pity on me, started to teach me. And I still take lessons from him a couple times a month. And so
cool. Yeah. And when did that start?
It was about 7 years ago.
Oh,
I started taking lessons.
7 years ago.
7. That's when I started. And I've been in bands for probably about 4 or 5 of those years. COVID took a bite out of that. But
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. Did you have a kit set up at your home?
I didn't for the first year.
Okay.
I'm a retired school librarian. I was teaching at the time, though. And for the first year, I just had my little pad and sticks, and I didn't have much time, about 20 minutes a day to practice. After about a year, I said, I got to have a kit because I'm not making the kind of progress I needed to. So I did. I bought one on Craigslist, set it up in the basement. That's when I started to make some progress.
Oh, for sure. And so working within the schools, you probably were afforded some opportunities, maybe not musical, but maybe related, potentially, right?
Well, like I said, 30 years in schools, from pre-K to high school, taught whole grades as a school librarian. But the farther I got in my career, the more I realized that, when you listen to the kids and what they want, the better it is. Son of a gun, imagine that. So I finished my career with 6 years in middle school in Hilliard. And the kids there knew that Dr. Dorr was a sap. My non-stage name is Christina Dorr. And so they called me Dr. Dorr. I have a PhD from Ohio State in children's literature and literacy. And so whenever they wanted a club, they'd come to me. So one day, this 8th grade girl, beginning of the school year, she came running in the library and said, Dr. Dorr, we need a music writing club. And so I said, sure, we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
So I brought in
awesome.
a secondhand drum kit and amps and microphones and guitars and tambourines and all kinds of things. And we did start a music writing club. I got to tell you, though, as a drummer, good, but I'm no music writer. I create music with Brian's band when it's original music. But to be able to help kids write music, at least at that point, I was not ready for that. I went into music go-round one day to buy a secondhand amp. And Danny Lemon, a punk musician, creator of all kinds of music, he can play everything here in the city, he's part of 2 or 3 bands, was working there at the time. And he says, well, what do you want the amp for? Tell me about it. And I started to tell him. He said, when I was in education at Ohio State, my favorite kids to work with were middle school kids. How about if I come to your school and volunteer with your kids? I was like, well, yeah. And I gave him my email. Figured I'd never hear from him again. 2 weeks later, I got an email, and he said, okay, got my volunteer badge. When can I start? And he spent an entire year coming once a week, helped my kids put on shows. It was amazing.
That's so awesome.
We used to do talent shows at lunch. Special ed kids came in, ELL kids came in. It got a lot of use. I just had to warn the science teachers below me in the building that we were going to be making music. They would always say, yeah, go for it. We're good.
And which school system was
This
that?
was Hilliard. This was
gosh.
Hilliard. Yeah, and my last 6 years were at Weaver Middle School.
That's so cool. So any folks come out of the Hilliard school system through some of that wonderful music writing program?
Well, there was a lot of kids that came through Weaver that got a star, and we did the talent shows, and a lot of them are still making music. They're in college now, and they're still making music in their own way.
Man,
very
how
proud.
Awesome is
I
that?
had a couple of the kids come this past summer and the summer before at some of the festivals. Came back to see my bands, and same with my college students at Ohio State too. They come see them, so I feel very blessed.
You are blessed, but you have mad skills.
Mad skills.
And you're sharing them, which is even,
Well, that's what a teacher
awesomer.
does. That's right.
More awesomer.
Yeah.
What are some of the other facets? So, like you mentioned, being a part of Hilliard, and you mentioned Ohio State as well. And some other facets of what we see on stage today as Tina Holly.
Yeah. Well, first career, like I said, in the children's and teen book world. And part of what I do since I've been retired is I teach for Kent State. So, and I've had Ohio State students as well. I'm a writer. I've been published for the last 40 years. Book number 4 comes out next year, 2024. They're all books about teacher, librarian, resource books. They're not going to hit the New York Times bestseller, but they've been valuable.
Very useful.
Through American Library Association, that's right. I'm a consultant and seminar presenter, and I've been blessed to serve on book award committees. And through the many book award committees that I've been part of in American Library Association is
Somebody's calling.
I've been able to meet a good many people. I've met Hillary and Chelsea Clinton. I've met the late John Lewis, Ilyasah Shabazz, the youngest, next to the youngest daughter of Malcolm X. I've got a good many internationally known authors that are good friends of mine. You have to be part of the children's and teen book world to know them, but Jason Reynolds is a multiple award-winning author that's a very good friend of mine, and it's all come through the work that I've done through American Library Association. And that's helped prepare me, though, because it puts me on the front lines. It puts me out there, and it's kind of helped create who I am. So, with this other part of my life, the music that I've happened upon is, helps make me be part of the show for Brian as well.
Oh, for sure. So how did you happen upon it? You said you happened upon getting through into starting to work with bands.
With
yourself.
bands,
Yeah.
okay, I gotcha. Yes, after a couple years of lessons, I would go out and see bands, and I happened one night to go someplace for dinner. Didn't know there was going to be a band there, and there was this awesome band that's no longer together. They're doing their different things, but it was called 614 Rock. The drummer was Jeff Ruder. What a showman he was. So I had this habit of, at a break, going up to the drummer, shake their hand, and say to the most important and least appreciated member of the band, I'm a drummer too. Tell me about your career, and get advice. And I watch drummers all the time. And Jeff talked to me, and he said, okay, well, come play a song with us. And it's like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not ready for that. And he said, okay, pick one of our songs, and the next time we play, you're going to play with us. So I did. I have a habit of just kind of leaping. Good opportunity. Let's do it. So I picked a song. It was about 2 weeks later. I practiced. My teacher helped me, and I was ready. Oh, I was scared to death, but I was ready. I went. It was in their third set. It was a little bar on Buckeye Lake, and the place was packed, and everyone was well lubricated, let's say, by that point. I played, they cheered, and the stage bug bit me. The next morning, Jeff messaged me on Facebook. I was hoping that he would invite me to play again. He didn't. But he did say, you need to find a group of people and start your own music.
How's that for some encouragement?
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know. So I did.
And you already bid, right?
Yes.
So how'd you go about that? Did you hit Craigslist or what? What's the story?
Actually was a teacher in Hilliard. I put it out on the Hilliard Shopping Network. Wow. Is what I did. And I did. I found a handful of people that changed a little bit over the 2 or 3 years that we were together, named the band Miss Scarlet. Our lead singer was Tabitha Kelly, who still is in a couple of bands. Jen Rambin was lead guitarist. Sonny Lemon, Danny's wife, was bass player for a while, and then Helen Yee was there for a while. And then Melanie Roy came in as backup singer. Mel Roy, that's right. She's doing some good things now in music as well.
So Scarlett, this was your
Miss Scarlett. It was
your idea.
It was.
It's a remembered band name.
Yeah, we played open stages. Our first place to play, all my bands, the first place to play out was Eldorados. So
what a great venue.
Nebby, Cassidy, and Debbie Day have been very good to me, very good, and so. That was the start of it. We did some lawn concerts. COVID hit in there too, so some lawn concerts and some open stages and a few paid gigs. I got to back up though a little bit before that.
Oh sure.
It was Jenny Bynes from Wednesday Wine and Matt Jones, who runs sound and is a drummer, fantastic drummer, at Eldorados, that encouraged me to start coming out to their Monday night open stages. And I came every week with their encouragement. A lot of train wrecks, but some successes, and it started getting more and more successes. So I owe a lot of what I do now to the two of them as well.
That's cool. Very cool.
So Miss Scarlett was the first band, and then one night when we were playing at Eldorados, a set of twins, Lisa Allen and Laura Clark, the Clark twins, played after us, just the two of them, and they made an announcement that they wanted to put a band together. So what did I do? I leaped again. I went over after they finished and said, need a drummer?
Hey, man.
So there we go. I played with them for a couple of years, and that was excellent experience because they do a lot of different kind of music, mostly covers. Few originals, but mostly covers. That stretched me, and that was very good for me. And that's where I really got comfortable in playing out.
How long were you with
it was
the Clark?
Close to 2 years. Close to 2 years.
That's a good stretch.
Yeah. Yep. And then Brian's band was formed somewhere toward a few months before I left the Clark Twins band, and the only reason I did is because. I would spread myself too thin between the two bands. I do a lot of other things in life, so I wanted to be able to just concentrate on one band, and there's a lot of original music there, and we do recording, and so I love all my bands, and I love all the musicians I've gotten to play with. It's been quite a ride, quite a trip.
It really is. And how many years have you been playing, Tina Holly?
Well, like I said, started lessons about seven years ago, and probably in bands, it's probably 5. But like I said, COVID took a bite out of the middle of that.
No, Beth and I saw the Brian Clash Band, I think, within the last 2 weeks for the second time this year.
Yes, we opened for Willie.
And you opened for Willie.
Yes.
Willie Phoenix. But, you rock, sister.
Well,
you are driving the bus.
Thank you.
And and it's a punk feel. Mm-hmm. That punk rhythm is I don't have to tell you. I mean, it's a unique style that I was curious if that was something you had to adapt toward, or was that sort of a natural style that, like, Willie knew you would be a shoo-in for?
Willie's got his intuition, his instincts for music and what individuals can do is amazing. And I wasn't sure how he knew from seeing me play with the twins how I would fit into this band. But I did.
Well, you're cool.
Well, thank you. You
have mad skills.
I'm mad skills. Thank you very much. And but it was a learning curve for sure to be able to pick up the speed and develop the arm muscles to be able to hit the way it needs to be done. And but been successful with it so far.
I'll say,
And,
you rock those songs.
Well, thank you. Thank
And
you
again,
very
they're
much.
punk. So what's this typical signature time on a punk tune?
Well,
Because
it's
you guys you'll do a Petty song, but it's in punk style.
That's right,
And so
right.
the beat.
our covers are done our way.
Yeah.
Yes, we played at Ramblin' House not long ago, and we did the Tom Petty tribute, and we closed the night, and we had several people say afterwards that of all the performers that night, you're the ones that took Petty's songs and did them your way.
And you do, but they're really good.
We do, and it's it's a 4/4 style, which my favorite music is classic rock, and so I'm a child of the 70s, high school, junior high and high school. By the way, a little side story: my mother, rest her soul, she lived to be 100 years old. So I admire her,
awesome.
and I plan to live that long myself.
Something tells me you will.
But she thought that rock music was sinful and it wasn't allowed in our house. However, I never told Mom that the bus driver played all the latest stuff on the bus, which is where I fell in love with Queen and Elton John and all of those classic, we call classic rock bands now, and it's my favorite music, of course. So this band gives me the opportunity to, do that kind of rock songs, but in a little different way, a little punk flair to it.
Yeah. So, and you said it was a learning curve for you.
It was.
to adapt that style. And you got some coaching from Willie and Brian.
Oh, definitely.
But were you
Yes.
also listening to punk oriented bands? And
Yes.
what were those?
Well, I'll tell you some of the drummers that I watch and I listen to a lot. Mo Tucker from the Velvet Underground. She's one of my heroes, one of the ones that I watch and listen to a whole lot. As a matter of fact, one night someone told me that if you put Mo Tucker and Meg White together and put a great big smile on her face, it would be me. That was me. And that was a fantastic compliment. Right
I
there.
can see that.
I watch Bunny Carlos is one that I watch from Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
His style I love. Ringo is one of my forever favorites, and he's not punk, of course.
Ringo
he wasn't.
Starr.
Oh yes,
One of the Beatles?
And I saw him here. Yeah, that guy. I saw him here in Columbus for the first time ever, and he's just one of my absolute heroes. But he's got style, and he was absolutely unique, and he's got style, and I learned from that. Charlie Watts, rest his soul, was one I watched quite a bit. One that a session drummer as well as a performer. Each year I go to Indianapolis for a day or two for the PASIC conference. It's the International Percussion Organization conference in Indianapolis. And this year when I went, I got to see Kenny Aronoff. Kenny Aronoff has played with everybody in the last 40 years. And I listened to him for an hour and a half, watched him and listened to him, tell stories, give advice, do demonstrations. And the guy is a small guy, about the same age as I am, and what he could do up on there was just, amazing. They're all inspiration to me. And there's a handful of other drummers, Cindy Blackman I've seen her play a couple times. Sheila E., there's so many out there. Of course, Neil Peart, there is nobody technically better, I don't think, ever than him. Roger Taylor, I've seen him play a couple of times. He's a hero of mine as well. And there's a good many local drummers that have been inspirations to me as well. Besides Matt Jones at El Dorados, there's Phil Hartley, Mark Brennan. I mentioned Stephen Day Carter Willie's drummer, absolutely. Sean Hutchinson, Jim Johnson, one of Willie's former drummers who's still playing there. Rick Martellino, John Honeycutt. There's a fantastic session drummer, Greg Easterling, that I've just become friends with in the last 2 or 3 months. That he's a session drummer. He doesn't play out, and he can give me lots of good advice in that department. But I have to say, there's female drummers here in Central Ohio that have been very good to me. Lots of advice. I watch them carefully. Terry May is one, Lynetta Montgomery, Carolyn O'Leary, Marcy Cox, and there's more out there that are all my heroes. It seems like everyone has more experience than I do, and technical skills are better, but I learn from all of them. And the things that people say I do well is timing.
You're on.
Yeah,
You're driving
which is
the
number
there's
one
no
for a
question.
drummer.
There's no question who's driving the bus.
Well, good.
I mean, I know Brian's front of the band, right? But,
Yes.
But the music is driven at the right place in that band.
Okay. Thank you.
This is my opinion. Just because Willie knew this, right?
Yes.
Like I mean, come on. But clearly, that's what's happening with you. It's awesome.
And the other thing is I have so much fun with this. It's a passion.
so.
It comes from my soul,
Oh, bless
and
you.
I just want to make sure that everyone else has as much fun watching me play as I do playing. And
You're a
some
beam
of my
of
style.
light back there,
Oh,
Tina
thank
Holly.
you.
I mean, you're a beam of light, just driving that. You're a
Thank
punk.
you.
You're a punk rock drummer.
Yeah, it is.
And you're just smiling away, just going to town, driving the song, serving the song.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. That's what I hope I do. Yeah. And I hope I'm improving all the time. And so, each show that you see me at, I'm hoping that I'm delivering it and getting a little better all the time.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's a great attitude.
Thank you.
That's fun to share.
Thank you.
Are there any other facets of Tina Holly that have helped, formulate and bring you to where you are today?
Well, I have
Experiences?
I have one other passion, and that is flight and space travel. Believe it or not, and here's how it came about, and how I've tapped into it, and how that experience and the travel experience that I've had with it feeds into everything I do. I'm of an age that, space travel was brand new. And I'm still amazed that we are here on Earth with the computers and the equipments we have, and we send vehicles out into space, and they do what they're supposed to do, and they bring the pictures back to us.
It's amazing.
Still amazes me. That's right. And then put that together with one of my heroes. My whole life, I have looked for heroes. I was born number 8 out of 9 kids in a very poor farm family, and my options in life seemed pretty small. So I always looked for heroes. And one of them was Krista McAuliffe, who was the space teacher that unfortunately died in the Challenger explosion in '86. So I've looked on how to bring experiences to my kids in school. And then one day I followed a listserv, which is an old term, but that's what it was at the time, that NASA put out for educators, and they were looking for volunteers for the Messenger mission to Mercury. And the point was, you volunteer and you get training, and then you train kids and teachers on this mission. So I'm not a science person. I'm a literacy and book person. And I put an application in, and they accepted me. So I spent 6 years. I trained at the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab at Pasadena. Houston Space Center, Kennedy Space Center, National Air and Space Museum in D.C. I even got to go to Maryland at the Jet Propulsion Lab. I was present when the data came down 2 different times. Data came down from Mercury, from Messenger, from Mercury, and saw what information came back. It was
wild.
amazing.
That is
then I went out, I don't know how many teachers I trained and kids that I presented to. And so that's just another one of those passions in life I decided to follow. And it helped prepare me as a person to be out front, to be able to do things on a stage or as a leader. And so you never know what I might do next.
Good for you.
Thank you.
We'll keep our eyes peeled out for you.
Absolutely. Please do. I also wanted to mention, too, I mentioned who the members of Miss Scarlet were, but in the Clark Twins band, Karen Hyman, who is guitarist at Wednesday Wine, Danny DeSantis is bass player there. But before Danny, Michael Dunn, who passed away last year suddenly from a heart attack, was bass player. And he was a very valued member. We were almost ready to go on a tour and when he passed away. And we had to scramble for another bass player who filled in and came. So we had a New York tour last year with the Clark Twins, and what an experience that was. And the Brian Clash Band, we plan to put a New York tour together next year.
Really?
So, yes.
What parts of New York?
Well, both northern New York, where I'm from, and New York City as well. I've got several contacts there in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and Long Island as well.
Okay.
So
Hoboken
we'll
has
go
a
there.
ton of clubs that would love you guys too. What?
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's in Jersey. Is it like
Yes.
Jersey, just north of Jersey City?
Yes.
I spent a lot of time in New York. I love New
good.
York.
Okay, I'll be talking to you.
Beth
Yes.
and I are coming to your shows in New York City,
Well, thank
or at
you.
least a couple.
Fantastic.
One. We'll look out for that.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Well, right now we have gigs booked into November of next year,
Of 2024.
2024.
Because you'll be listening to this episode on your 100th birthday.
On my 100th
So we got to
birthday.
date
Thank
some
you.
of these
Thank you.
some of these events. So in 2024, you have
plan
that
it.
coming up, right?
We've got plenty of gigs. We got several coming up this month. Next month, on the 19th of January, we're going to be playing at Space Bar. Atomic Zombies is going to open for us, and Red Velvet Letdown. Michael Christian's band is going to be headlining it. We're going to be in between.
What is that date?
That is the 19th, Friday 19th, the 19th of January,
Of 2024?
2024.
That's already on my calendar.
And
It's going to be great.
we're going to be at Ramblin' House on the 13th of April. Bella Whit and the Fog is going to open. Courtney from Work is going to be second, and we're going to headline that one. Courtney from Work, as a matter of fact, the bass player, Connor Hanna, is the son of our bass player, Clyde Hanna. So it's 3 generations of bass players in that
Involved
family.
in this family of
Oh,
bands.
that's right. That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it all kind of intertwines and
We do.
comes back around.
It sure does, and we support each other. It's
Fantastic.
good. I've been privileged in my life.
Well,
that's for sure.
it's more than privilege. I mean, this is something that I believe you've earned, right? Like you're earning your way. You're acting like you've been there before because you've been there before,
Been there
man.
before. Yeah.
Right? Like you got it coming because people see this in you, right?
Well,
and
thank you.
and thank goodness you didn't run over.
Good thing I
Mr.
didn't run over
Phoenix.
Willie. That's right. That's right. What a loss
and I
that
say
would have
that-
been. Yeah.
I say that with all respect all the way
Yeah,
around, but
absolutely.
well, good for you.
Well, thank you.
Well, Tina Holly, sticks in hand and just making it happen for
it happen.
the Brian Clash Band currently,
That's right. That's right.
and for the foreseeable future.
That's right. That's right.
Well, thanks for sharing some of those events too that are coming up.
Thank you.
And I think that I'd like to put a link to the Brian Clash Band and some of the documentation for the episode description. But also maybe if there's a place that we can route folks to maybe some of your literary
Absolutely.
work, if you want.
Yes. Brian
Being an
Clash
author,
Band
published.
is of course brianclashband.com, and my website for my consulting business and my writing and all those other things I do is Open Doors, door spelled like my last name, DORR, opendoors2books.com.
Okay.
So everything in that half of my life is on that website.
So music, I think, is going to take you far, Tina Holly.
I sure hope so. I feel like it has already. I mean, I couldn't have imagined 7 years ago when I started taking lessons that right here and now I'd be sitting talking with you, Len, about everything that I've done. Oh no, you're somebody. Everybody in this town that makes music is somebody, and I just have had opportunities roll along that I couldn't have ever imagine in both sides of my life, for sure.
Oh yeah, and we become very grateful. And
Oh,
we're in
yes.
the same age bracket, right? So, like, I think it's a natural event in your life to kind of rebloom and become very introspective to some degree, but also you become very community driven.
Give back.
Which is the whole
Here's
reason
to
I'm
give
doing
back.
this podcast. I feel like I have to do this. Like, I don't know why it's compelling me to. But like meeting someone like you, right? And you have all these facets of life that just kind of are now coming into, driving a punk, oriented rock band in Columbus, Ohio. It's like, who is Tina Holly?
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to know.
I've just told you a whole lot. That's for sure.
I guess that's my point. It's like,
Yes.
rather than trying to do this while Willie Phoenix is playing,
Right.
after you guys did your set, when I can't, like, it's hard for me to have a conversation.
Well, then you
Because
miss
you
Willie's
can't
playing,
hear.
and you don't want
miss
to
the
miss
show.
Willie playing.
I
That's
know.
right. And his great band, yes.
The podcast helps. A little
Absolutely.
focused time, and we get to share it with everyone
Right.
that's interested.
And I appreciate you doing that. I've listened to a good many of your podcasts.
The episodes have been a blast.
And everyone is so unique. I mean,
it's
everyone's
diverse.
story is their own, and we need that forum to tell the stories. So I thank you for that.
Oh.
Nobody's story should be lost.
No way. No, and there's no rules here, right? Like, everybody's welcome, as long as you're playing music, recording music.
Yes.
A part of the music scene in Columbus, Ohio, based, whether you're still here, you translated here, you're here, or you were here and you're now, elsewhere. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You have roots with Columbus music, and there's so many. And I don't know how long this will go, but hopefully a long time. And along the way, meeting you is gonna, open the doors to maybe have the opportunity to talk to somebody else that I have no idea who's out there.
Well, then I'll steer a few your way. How's
That's
that?
cool. And a lot of folks have done that, and it's definitely a welcome part of the community networking, right?
Yes.
There's so many.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you can't get out to every show. You like to get out to as many shows as you can when you're not gigging, but it's really kind of a cool little hub.
It is. It is. But then there's, practice time for me and rehearsal time and recording time. And I got to sleep once in a while. And, so no, I don't get to see everybody that I want either. But I'm always meeting new people.
Yeah, I
New
know.
musicians.
And it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's so awesome.
it is. It is. And thank you for your role in it.
Oh, it's a blast. and I think that we'll definitely see more of Tina Holly. That's for
Oh,
sure.
yes. Oh, yes. If I have my way about it, yes, you will. Plenty more.
Tina Holly, the drummer for the Brian Clash Band, and we thank you for your time, and we thank everyone for listening.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Episode 37 of Columbus Local Podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.